Hello guys, this is Mrs. Maddox. I've received some emails about day two's assignment and finding it a little bit more difficult, specifically when it comes to the fraction or the decimal. So I have a couple up here that I want to walk through with you. I know most of you prefer to use the distributed property strategy, where you take the 1/4 and multiply it by d, and you take the 1/4 and multiply it by 3. You end up with 1/4 d minus, and here 1/4 times 3 gives you 3/4, and that still equals negative 15. And then you just go through the process like you're used to, where since this is taking 3/4 away, the inverse operation would be to add 3/4. And here's where it gets a little difficult, because now we're dealing with a negative 15 and we have to add 3/4 to that. We know when we're adding with different signs, we're actually subtracting. And when we're adding with or subtracting with fractions, we have to have a common denominator. So you go through this whole process, and you can do it, but this is where we might want to take a look at the other strategy. So I am going to clear what I've written, and with an open mind, let's try the other strategy, where we are multiplying this quantity, d minus 3, times 1/4. So the inverse operation here would be to divide both sides by 1/4. So that cancels out here. That leaves us with d minus 3 equals, now remember, if you're praying to the operation gods when it comes to fractions, you would prefer to have multiplication. Good news, when you're dividing with fractions, because of the multiplicative inverse property, we can rewrite any division with fractions as multiplication by using keep, change, flip. So now we have negative 15 times 4, which gives us negative 60. Now that already is a lot easier than what you had to do when you were trying to add 3/4 to a negative 15. Now, over here we still don't have d isolated, so this is subtracting 3, so the inverse operation will be adding 3 to both sides. So that cancels out here. That leaves us with d equals, now remember, negative 60 plus 30. Different signs when adding, so we have to find the difference. So we're subtracting 60 minus 3, which gives us a 57, but remember, we have to use the negative because negative 60 has a greater absolute value than the 3. So we end up with d equals negative 57.